Hi, I'm Steve Debian, Fire Chief with Clearwater Regional Fire Rescue Services, and I'm joined today by Ed Van Haren, President of Rocky Search and Rescue, as well by Lori Davis of Paddle Alberta and Alberta Whitewater Association. We are here today to talk with you about water safety and more specifically, Abraham Lake, Alberta's largest reservoir spanning some 32 kilometers. Situated alongside Highway 11 in Clearwater County, Abraham Lake may seem like an ideal spot for outdoor water recreation activities. And with many people eager to get out of the house this summer, it is understandable to want to enjoy the natural beauty of the lake. However, rescue teams have been increasingly called to respond to incidents at Abraham Lake, as the lake also presents many risks, including changing winds and waves that can suddenly intensify. A common theme emerges when we look back on emergency response on the lake. Recreational users are either unprepared, outside their skill level, or unaware of the response time needed to help them. At this time of year, the water is also chilly, 5 degrees Celsius, which means if not prepared, exhaustion or unconsciousness could happen in as little as 15 minutes.
Open water is very different than swimming in a pool. You may have to compete with cold water, waves, currents, drop-offs, water visibility, undertows, as well as motorcrafts and debris. There are several steps that can be taken to reduce the risk of water-related injury or death when in or on or near the water. Before you leave, make sure you check the local weather for any severe conditions throughout the day. Look around. Near or distant dark clouds, strong and chaotic winds, and sudden temperature drops are all signs to be aware of. Always travel with a buddy and check the weather conditions before venturing into the water. Be aware of winds, water temperatures, and when in open water, always bring emergency supplies like extra food, water, clothing, and a flashlight. Never go out without a life jacket or personal flotation device. Before heading out on a canoe or kayak, ensure that everyone is outfitted with a correctly fitting sized life jacket. Every year, 161 Canadians drown while boating. Of these, 87% are not wearing a life jacket. Wearing a life jacket or personal water flotation device is doubly important in cold water. In cold water, blood rushes through from the arms and legs in order to preserve vital organs. Without a life jacket, even the strongest swimmers sink in a few minutes because they can't tread water to keep themselves afloat. Another reminder is to dress appropriately for comfort and to help prevent hypothermia. If you're paddling, wear a paddling jacket or shirt with neck and arm cuffs that seal.
In recent years, we've seen a huge increase in paddle sports in Alberta, which is great. We want to see people out in kayaks and canoes and stand-up paddleboards. That's wonderful. The problem with Abraham Lake is it's actually not a lake, it's a reservoir, and there's two ways that weather systems increase winds that sweep across the lake. We have prevailing winds that come in from the west, and they can make some pretty substantial waves on Abraham Lake, as well as the thunderstorms tend to build there. So early morning paddles on the far end are the one's only hope of having a nice calm paddle. People paddle for lots of different reasons, for relaxation, exercise, and to enjoy the great outdoors. But when things go wrong, they go wrong fast and they can go wrong really badly. Abraham Lake is snow melt, it's glacier fed, and then often there is debris coming down from the upper section of the river. So it's not a safe place to paddle. Paddle Alberta and Alberta Whitewater Association don't recommend paddling on Lake Abraham for a reason, and the Windy Point's called Windy Point for a reason. So Paddle Alberta and Alberta Whitewater Association, the Rocky Canoe Club, all provide places for people to get training. The 3 rules of Paddle Smart, which you can find under the Adventure Smart website, are trip planning, so making sure that before you leave, people know who's in your group, where you're going, what time you're expected back, and then training. Taking training is really important. The upper section of the North Saskatchewan above Abraham Lake is intermediate to advanced skills, and so beginner paddlers or day trippers sometimes don't have the skills necessary to navigate those waters or the upper section of the lake safely, or any section of the lake. And then the third thing is to take the essentials, which Ed talked about, and that's Transports Canada's rules of having a life jacket that's fitted appropriately, having a bailing device, having 15 meters of flotation line with you and a signaling device. Last year there was an incident on Canada Day out on Lake Herbert or Hebert, out on the Parksfield Iceway, where a stand-up paddleboarder wasn't wearing a life jacket, and stand-up paddleboarders sometimes like to have a life jacket attached to their stand-up paddleboard just to adhere to the laws and regulations instead of having it on. And when that paddler fell into the water, they never resurfaced. The shock of falling into cold water tends to activate a cold water response and a big breath in, and the lungs fill full of icy cold water. It's a bad mix.
Always consider response time when enjoying the beauty our region has to offer. Ask yourself, how long will it take for someone to come help me? And am I prepared to wait? As recreational users travel farther away from established infrastructure, response times to help those individuals take longer and longer. Communication ability may also pose a challenge, as the majority of the area around Abraham Lake is outside cellular service area. Understand that the farther out you venture, the longer it will take to get, 1, a point of communications to call 911, and then 2, the length of time for emergency response is protracted by the distance you travel to get your adventure area. Once you are found, it could even be longer to get you out of where you can be cared for by EMS. Remember, help is not 10 minutes away, it may be hours away in the case of Abraham Lake. Clearwater County has many forests, foothills, mountains, and lakes that offer great opportunity for safe outdoor recreation. However, enjoy our incredible region requires that you be prepared for the risks. We want everyone to safely enjoy the great outdoors and come back soon.